morning. And another thing, happy Super Bowl Sunday. Welcome to the Shiro Coffee Chat where coffee meets conversation. I'm your host, retired Army veteran and founder of the Shiro Coffee Club, Melissa Farmer Hill. This is a place for veterans chat, for community, for information, commentary, and everything in between. And I just want to thank you for joining me today. And I don't want to waste your time, so we're going to brew it up right after this commercial. And you know how we do it. First things first, we're all out here grinding, so we got to keep our heads on a swivel when it comes to information for our veterans and family members. There are over 16 million military veterans. And the truth is, not one of us, not some of us, not all of us know everything when it comes to taking care of our veterans. So we always like to provide information from the Shiro resource table that might help you. So here it is. Veterans, this information is for you and your caregiver. Yes, your caregiver. If you have a family caregiver helping you through the VA's program for the caregiver support program, then there is a benefit just for them. The VA now offers free legal and financial planning services to caregivers. But you have to be enrolled in the program of the Comprehensive Assistance for Family Caregivers. That's PCAFC. PCAFC. And this is good news because it means your caregiver can get expert help on, wills and planning, powers of attorney, and financial guidance like budgeting and benefits and different things like that. And the beauty of it, it's completely free. Yes, this service is free. So if your primary caregiver is enrolled, like I said, you have to be enrolled in the PCAFC program. They can call 833-422-7382. That's 833-422-7382 to get started. I think this is really a huge thing. So make sure if you're enrolled in that program and you need that legal advice and financial advice, then make sure you call to get started. Don't miss out on these free services. That's what they're there for. Hey, you don't use them, you lose them, right? So we're going to move right along into our story of the week. Now, Doug Collins, he's a former congressman from Georgia, an Iraq War veteran, and he is a Air Force Reserve. I want to say Army so bad. He is an Air Force Reserve chaplain. He's been confirmed as the U.S. Secretary of Veteran Affairs, managing a budget for 2025 over $369 billion to take care of veteran benefits and program. He also manages 200 hospitals and medical centers, plus all of the national cemeteries that we have. Let's take a look at this video of his confirmation.
Collins to be the Secretary of Veterans Affairs. The former Air Force chaplain was approved on a 77-33 vote. Collins will oversee the Department of Veterans Affairs, which has more than a $350 billion budget. It also oversees nearly 200 medical centers and hospitals nationwide. Collins has promised to cut regulations and elevate the quality of care for veterans.
Well, police in Sweden.
So, all right. Now, throughout his career, he's been vocal about supporting veterans, especially when it comes to protecting benefits from funding cuts. He made big promises at his confirmation hearing, like reducing bureaucracy in the VA so veterans can get the benefits, they've earned without the unnecessary delays, which I agree 100%, 100%. And I'm just going to give you an example. So I made an appointment to see my primary care doctor, and the earliest date I was given was April. And even in my specialty care clinic appointment, I wanted to do a telehealth appointment, but I found out that those were only given on Mondays, and the first available appointment was toward the end of next month. So I chose to drive to my VA hospital because I can get an early appointment. So I'm with Secretary Collins all the way when it comes to reducing delays in benefits and in healthcare services and things like that. Another thing is that he wants to eliminate corruption within the department to make it more efficient. Yeah, I said it. Corruption. We are talking, listen to this: bribery, kickbacks, fraudulent contracting practices, mismanagement, falsification of records, improper incentive payments, and unauthorized access to personal information. We talking about Elon Musk right now, but people are already in our records. But to me, it sounds like he's coming to clean house. But I think one of the more important things that he talked about, his policies, was expanding veterans' access to private health care, which it doesn't sound initially, like right now, if you were to ask me, it doesn't sound like a bad idea. Because it so instead of solely just relying on VA hospitals and clinics, he supports, giving veterans more opportunities to see private doctors. But my question is, will we still have a VA? I may have some hiccups within the VA, but I still want a VA hospital, a place where all of my veteran brothers and sisters can receive the treatments they need. Because sometimes you might see a physician outside of the VA hospital, and there are things that local physician may have never heard or seen before. But at the VA, when someone comes in with a certain ailment or some sort of mental health issues, it's just another day at the VA, so they understand what's happening to the veteran and can treat them immediately. So I'm just hoping that this doesn't mean, the end of VA as we know it. Secretary Collins is a strong supporter of the Mission Act of 2018, which was to expand, private care, consolidate programs, expand caregiver support, and, telehealth. He wanted to modernize the facilities and do some hiring reforms. So my bet is I'm going to go back and read that VA Mission Act, because that might be where Secretary Collins start. But at the end of the day, what veterans really experience under his leadership will speak louder, than anything he can promise. So we'll have to watch everything closely and see how he'll be, how he will impact as things, what his impact will be, as things play out. So let's keep our eyes and our ears open. And if you know something right now, if you heard something, drop a comment in the comment section. That's good information to know. That's something we definitely have to keep our eyes out for. And all the best to Secretary Collins. 2025 budget, $369 billion. That's a lot of money to manage. That's a lot of money to manage. So we are going to move right into our tip of the week. And my tip of the week for everyone: You guys, AI is shaping our everyday life. And if you don't become familiar and comfortable with it, you're going to be like an 8 track in a world of streamers. And some of you don't even know what an 8 track is. It's this huge cassette that they used to play uh, for music. And I'm serious here. It's already a part of our daily life. It's impacting the job market, and it's shaping the future of how we're going to interact with it. So I really want you to educate yourself, watch a quick video to understand kind of like what's going on in the AI world. You can even take a cheap course on Udemy or Coursera. You don't have to pay a whole lot of money because I know it's a lot of people online selling you these huge programs. Udemy, Udemy or Coursera, don't pay a whole lot of money, is what I'm saying. You just because you're only trying to familiarize yourself with it, so don't do that. Then I want you to try it out. Experiment with some tools, Chat GPT, Zapier, or Mid Journey. You don't need to pay for a subscription. Just try whatever free stuff they give you. Just try that out. And in all honesty, all I know is AI is here to stay, and it's only going to keep getting better and better and better. They just continue to make so many improvements on AI, and we need to start adapting to this change because we don't want to be left out or not understanding. We want to have at least a general familiarization with it. AI is going to impact your life whether you want to or not, and that's the whole point. And that's your Shiro tip of the week. All right. So now, before we start on our next topic, I want to tell you guys something. We have a visitor today. And guess who's visiting us on the Shiro Coffee Chat? She's here already. She is a powerhouse, you guys. Let me tell you, she is some woman. She is some woman, Miss Beverly Fitch. She was born in Chicago. Hey, big ups to Chicago, my hometown, born and raised too. She was raised in Hazel Crest, Illinois. She answered the call to serve in 1990, enlisting in the Army Reserves as a personnel management specialist, MOS 75 Charlie. As I love it. She's deployed in support of Operation Desert Storm, Desert Shield, and Operation Determined Effort and Operation Joint Endeavor. Beverly was also a recruiter, MOS 79 Romeo. Shout out to all my recruiters out there. And was assigned to the U.S. Army Recruiting Command, USAREC as we know it, shaping the future of the military for over 12 years in the state of Illinois. During her tenure, Beverly earned the Army Accommodation Medal, the Army Achievement Medal, the National Defense Service Medal, the Southwest Service Medal with a Bronze Star, the Army Service Ribbon, and gold. I never made it there, Beverly. And the gold recruiting badge. She retired from the Army Reserves in 2021 and is continuing to serve this nation. Beverly is currently employed at Hines VA as a voluntary specialist for the Center for Development and Civic Engagement. She's responsible for recruiting and onboarding volunteers, coordinating days of service events for schools, civic and veterans organizations, and corporations. Beverly has also made history. We got a history maker in our midst today as the first female commander of her American Legion post, the Verna L. Jones Post 478, of which I am a member of. And she is also the first female 3rd District Senior Vice Commander in Illinois, where she elevated her district's ranking in just 1 year. She had to be wearing, we'll find out, she had to be wearing that recruiting hat all year to make the rankings go up. Beverly's impact has earned her the bicentennial honor 200 award, recognizing her dedication to veterans and the community. She's a VFW service officer and advocate with several organizations. And if it couldn't get any better, she is a Shiro Coffee Cub Legacy Ambassador. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome my friend and my commander, Miss Beverly Fitch.
Good morning, and happy Super Bowl Sunday.
Happy Super Bowl Sunday to you, Beverly. It's so good to see you, and thank you for joining the Shiro Coffee Chat. Before we start on our topic, because I know our topic is going to be about veterans organizations, I want them to know just a little bit about you. Now, you had an incredible military career, but you're still engaged. So, what I want to know is what inspires you to serve in this world of self-indulgence. This is a world we live in, a world of selfies now, right? and
hmm
what and they call it WIIFM, what's in it for me. That's the world we live in now. So what inspires you to continue to serve others?
So, what inspired me to continue to serve others was the fact that all the ways I had to navigate when I got out of the military. People want to always thank you for your service, but it just didn't seem. It could have been because we were in Illinois that there just wasn't a lot there. And the way I was able to navigate my transition, I was fortunate to run into veterans who had some of the same problems. So they were able to lighten my load. And then that's what made me want to serve more because I'm like, we cannot have this when our veterans return from deployment or whatever. They need services needed to be readily available for them. And it would be good if there would be a service member, like in the Army when we're retired, they call us soldiers for life, that can walk point with that person once they get out, if they need that help.
That is true. I had my own experience with that, and that's how I learned about the VFW, of which I'm also a member. So that leads me to another question. So if you do have a member who's transitioning out of the military and you want to they've ETS, can you how would you recruit them? Put your recruiter hat on. How would you recruit them into joining a veterans organization?
So the first thing I would do is basically ask them when they got out, did they get a service rating first of all, and if the answer is no, then should they have gotten one? So, I start asking those probing questions, like a recruiter, is there anything that you feel that you're dealing with? You don't have to tell me that you
Right.
feel hinders you, creates a barrier for you, and it was a result of your military service. And if that answer is yes, then you need to go sit down with a veteran service officer to kind of pull back the onion on your situation, because you could very well be leaving money on the table, but not just that. We don't want some kind of uh, hidden something hitting manifesting itself when you maybe go to class, maybe you're finishing your college education, or you get a job, somebody does something that sets off a trigger and you snap and now you're unemployed. Or you can't keep employment because you haven't dealt with things because you were afraid to admit to them, because when we're military, you're told to overcome and adapt, suck it up and drive on. So you feel your pride is like, well, I shouldn't be taking any money because some other veteran needs it. No, if you are dealing with silent battles or silent wounds, I'm sorry, you need to get paid for that. Because if you're working for some other company and you got hurt on the job, they owe you money. So it's the same thing. Look at the military as a corporation. And then I would go into, especially being in a city like Chicago, or even the state of Illinois to a certain extent, there, we get lost in the South. There is no military base that's close by. So you kind of lose that, and you feel like that fish in a big pond or in an ocean again. And so I believe that joining a veteran service organization such as American Legion or the VFW, which I'm a part of both as well, that you can kind of connect with people that have things in common with you.
Yeah, I definitely just from my personal experience, when I retired and went, had my first experience at the VFW, I was, because we have a certain lingo. When you're in the military, you have a certain language, and it felt good to get back to that language. It felt good to see other people, hear other people's stories, and just to have that connection. Because, like you said, in the Midwest, we it's really not, military, 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 and so I thought this was a great way, because I had put all my I threw everything away because I didn't want anything to do with the military. And like you said, another thing that came out was, you know, we're we're conditioned to suck it up and drive on, have that A-type personality, because we're always trying to accomplish that mission, whatever it is, because we care. But when you what to me, what retirement did for me, I had a purpose every day. I was moving forward and doing things like that. And then retirement made me, everything stopped. And so now I got to deal with those things that I was not able to
Mhm.
deal with. And you hit that is money. You just gave great advice, because that's the same thing that I would encourage, individuals to do. It's not just an organization, it's an organization that helps. These organizations actually help you. Now I want to know, for you, Beverly, what is the best part of being a member of the veterans organization? And then I want you to name me all, because you are actively engaged. So I want you to name all the organizations that you're a member of, if you can remember.
So first and foremost is the American Legion, and I'll just a quick quip on how I joined the American Legion. So actually, Melissa was in the unit as well. We were in the 478th service personnel. It was a company, and then it grew to a battalion level.
Yep.
And one of the good things about that unit, they welcomed you like a family. I'm like, you may have had your individual cliques or whatever the case may be, but when it was time to come together, we came together. We played hard, we worked hard, and even when people left the unit for whatever reasons, because sometimes to make that next rank, you couldn't make it in a post, so you had to transfer to another post. Everybody always came back home to the 478. So it didn't even matter. If people, even some of my close friends that went to 478 that went to other units, everybody still referenced the 478. I mean, like when I say we're with family, we are family. And Verna Jones, who the post is named after, she thought she used to hang out at Giles Post. So here's a quick Black History note. Giles Post, which is on 56th and State in the city of Chicago, is one of the oldest American Legion posts. And historically, in 1990, when those World War I veterans got out of the military and they wanted to join an American Legion, being African American, of course the white American Legion was like, you ain't coming up in here. So Giles Post was founded, and a lot of African American soldiers, male, had to come through Giles if they wanted to be an American Legion. And Giles Post on 56, I believe, is still the only post that still has actually a brick and mortar. So Verna used to hang out there, and they do fantastic things. They used to give away coats in the winter to the kids in the neighborhood, back to school supplies. I think they still do this. Every third Sunday, they would feed veterans in the neighborhood for free, and they would have fundraisers. And she wanted to do that, so it was her idea to start an American Legion Post. Unfortunately, she passed away. In honor of her vision, we actually started an American Legion Post. So that's the story and the history of the 478. Because I probably wouldn't have joined an American Legion. I probably wouldn't have joined any of them, because my mindset was there's a whole bunch of old men drinking. But what I found out was they might be drinking, but you find out that you have more in common with them and some of the other members than you do sometimes your own family members, your own friends. And like Melissa said, we just have a certain language, we just have a certain understanding. It's just something that you just feel when you're around other veterans and service members. So, in addition to the American Legion, I'm a lifetime member in the American Legion. I am a lifetime member in the Veterans of Foreign War, which most people might be more common with the term VFW. And I'm a member of, what else am I a member of? So I need to pay my dues. But National Women's Veteran United, they're not a chartered organization, but they are an organization that advocates for women. And I am a member of DAB and I am a member of AMVETS. And the reason I joined all these different veteran service organizations, although I may not be as active in all of them, is because there's strength in numbers. So when the only and I could be wrong, so don't quote me on this. The only charter organization that lobby before Congress are the American Legion, VFW, and DAV, and I think AMVETS is another one. So they actually get in front of Congress members and talk about the needs of our veterans and our service members. So I joined those because I know that they all have to give a report to Congress of how many veterans they service, what activities they've done within their community, not only how they impacted the veterans, but how they're impacting their communities. And they have to give a report. So if I belong to these organizations that are chartered and they go before Congress, their numbers grow. So when these organizations start losing membership, which they have, the voices go silent on the hill. And guess what? It seems like our issues don't matter anymore. So it's very important that if nothing else, you join an organization just so that we have those numbers. So when we go to fight for our rights, we can show up.
Absolutely. I'm 100% in agreement with you. Capitol Hill, us having a voice on Capitol Hill is critical. And like Beverly said, you guys, it was American Legion, DAV, VFW, or AMVETS. We're thinking AMVETS is also, they're the only organizations that get to have their own hearings on the Hill. And that's why those organizations are so crucial. Now, one of the things you mentioned, and guess what, Beverly? Of course, we get together. We're running out of time. I have I have less than 3 minutes, but I want you to talk about your experience, maybe the experience we chatted about when it comes to speaking truth to power and why we have to get young people involved. And we got about 3 minutes.
Okay. Okay, here comes that impromptu speech. So basically,
Right?
here's the reality. As veterans, we would not have the Montgomery GI Bill had it not been for the American Legion, the VFW that chartered for it. You would not have the opportunity to have the forever Montgomery GI Bill or even pass on your benefits to your children had it been for these not been for these organizations that existed, our VA home loan. But like I said, most importantly, there is nothing wrong with any of these organizations that have popped up over the years, like Operation Wounded Warrior, Team Rubicon. They're all wonderful, but we cannot segregate ourselves. We have to form a united front and understand the American Legion VFW, their roots are deep. The thing I'm trying to get them to do is change their message. So I can only speak for the American Legion. So I had to attend a training yesterday, and real quick, I was biting my tongue, trying to fight from saying something I wanted to say, but then I'm a woman of faith. The Holy Spirit told me to get up and say what I had to say. So I took the floor, and a lot of the people they were complaining about they couldn't get the membership. I said, because you're sending the wrong message. I said, you have to change your mindset if you want to get younger people or people that were turned away, whatever, to join. We need them. And the reason that we need them is because we need to ensure that the Montgomery GI Bill doesn't get cut, that they don't keep cutting benefits, because they are cutting benefits and we don't have a lot of time to go into it. But I encourage you to go to legion.org and go under advocacy and look under legislation, and it'll tell you some of the things that the American Legion are advocating for. But we need our strength in numbers because, like I said, the VFW, American Legion, their roots are deep. And when they have these hearings before Congress, most of our elected officials have never served in the military. They're two
Yeah.
or three generations from serving in the military. So I'm going to just play devil's advocate, if you were. If I was a congressperson and I'm looking out at a whole bunch of old, and I said this to them, old white men whose average age is 75 years old, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, once they gone, we ain't got to worry about this no more. But if they start seeing other
Right.
generations, not pushing those men out because it's their shoulders that we stand on. But
Yep.
if they start seeing more women, African Americans, Hispanics up there, and we're forming a united front, they're like, oh, they ain't going away. Well, you're damn skippy, we ain't
Absolutely.
going away. And that's
We
what
got
I'm,
like 5 seconds.
yeah, that's what I'm pushing. I'm pushing that we change our message and tell these people, if you're not a member, we need you and why we need you.
Beverly, I told you guys, dynamic powerhouse. And as always, keep your heart full and your coffee strong. Happy Super Bowl Sunday. See you next week.
Thanks for having me.